Look, I don't think we should read too much into the meeting. It's great that Harry flew over just to see his dad, and they've obviously had a one-to-one meeting and hopefully a hug. And that will be the beginning in terms of a rapprochement between Charles and Harry. In terms of the healing of the big rift, of course, with William, I can't see that necessarily happening. But it's good to know that the King and Harry have met, and that they've been able to talk to each other face to face, given what's going on with the King at the moment. I think a father and son relationship is quite complex. I think that when there's been so much water under this bridge, it's been difficult. But look, it's an opportunity, isn't it, for them to talk, to just embrace and say, let's not go into too much detail now. It's not neither the time or place, but just to have that initial contact is great. And I think that by Harry reaching out to his dad in this way shows that he must be deep down wanting to do something to try and build bridges. I think the brothers is a completely different relationship, and obviously there's been a lot of animosity there. There's been involvement with both their wives that's been tricky, and so I think that's a completely different relationship. Maybe with what's going on with their father, they may call a truce in this battle of the brothers, but I don't think we're going to be dealing with any peace treaties, put it that way. I think what we are dealing with here is a relationship with a father and son is completely different between them two brothers. So therefore we just have to wait and see. But it's a good start, and Harry has I think decided that he wanted to see his dad, and who can blame him? I mean, it must feel a long way away. And when you're hearing news like your dad's got cancer, wherever you are in the world, you'd probably want to come back and see how he is face to face. No, I don't think you can have your cake and eat it. Harry's out, and he made his position very clear. He can't be a part-time royal. He can't be someone living in America. They're working as a royal every now and again. No, I think this is a personal thing that's happened, and Harry is not going to become a working royal again. If Harry wants to put his hand in his pocket and buy a house, there's nothing to stop him. He's a British citizen. Whether he won't be getting any royal handouts or grace and favour houses, that's not going to happen. He's not a working royal. So there is a clear divide between whether you're a working royal and a non-working royal. And I think that his memoir, I think that his TV appearances, I think that some of the things that has been said about the royal family make it impossible for that to change. And I don't think he'd necessarily be welcomed back in a working royal position. The King is 76 in November. He's going to have to pace himself. He's going to have to learn to listen to his body. Very difficult for a man who's such a hardworking, dutiful man. But he must realise that nobody is indestructible. He's going to have to pace his diet accordingly and make sure that it befits a man of his age. Look, I think that he will hopefully come back, and he's got a lot of events, things he wants to do, and a lot of unfinished business. But he's going to have to rely and lean on the other members of the royal family. His sister, who's only a couple of years younger than him, was out today in the Midlands. She did the investiture at the Windsor Castle. William's doing an investiture tomorrow and will be out and about tomorrow night as well. So he's going to have to rely on the firm. But even when he comes back, I think he's probably going to have to listen to his doctors and listen to his body and pace himself. Well, essentially, the crown or the monarchy is about one man and one person, the monarch, and the monarch fulfilling their constitutional obligations in a parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarchy. That's what we've got. Of course, the heir to the throne will step up and do some of those face-to-face things, I think, more than likely if he doesn't do it by Zoom, but things like taking the credentials, of receiving the credentials of ambassadors from overseas countries, and things like that. I'm sure that William will be able to step in for his father in that respect. The King will continue meeting with the Prime Minister or even doing it on Zoom. We don't know how that's going to happen, but I think he said he's going to continue that important matter of state. And if the King's not well enough to do certain things, as with the Queen towards the end of her life, when she could do the state opening in Parliament, it was Charles and William that sort of stepped in, Charles in the main role and William as the supporter. So I see that's going to happen going forward. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, will continue in her role as a very important and very trusted and stalwart character in the royal family. The Queen will step up too, almost those two like a Praetorian guard over the King to make sure that he keeps his work-life balance correct. And there will be Prince Edward, although he's having a break at the moment. He will, as Duke of Edinburgh, step in with his wife Sophie to carry out engagements. But the King's vision is of a smaller monarchy, less costing less to the taxpayer, less people on that balcony. If you remember years ago, there would be the Queen in the middle of a swarm of family members. That's not the vision the King wants. I think he wants a more cost-effective monarchy that is paid for effectively by the Duchess of Cornwall and the Duchy of Lancaster, and that way there's no real burden on the taxpayer. Prince Andrew is no longer a working royal, and I don't think even if the royal family wanted him to be, I don't think the public would stomach it. I don't think we'll get any more detail of the type of cancer unless it develops it takes a turn for the worse. I don't think we'll be given that information. Only very few people will know that. I think it's good that Harry's come over. I don't know if the King necessarily invited him over, but it's good that he's come over. I think it's good that he has had that initial meeting with his pop, and that they have had hopefully a positive exchange. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be good or everything's going in the right direction, but it just means that there's been that connection, human connection, and I think that that'll be good for Harry. And it'd be good for his father, because it's nice. It's not great having things hanging over your head. And obviously they live a long way away from each other, and that these chances are limited. And I get the impression that a lot of people are very upset with Harry and disappointed with him and his wife Meghan, especially in this country, particularly the way they attacked the royal family with a lot of untruths and things that just to be half-baked opinions, particularly on the racist side of things. So look, I don't know is the answer. I think that a lot of people will be more worried about the King and hopefully him making a full recovery and being very positive.
Sounds nice. I mean, like, this whole family feud thing seems a bit silly in my opinion, which will make up, and hopefully this brings them together a little bit more.
I mean, he's got to come back to see his father, hasn't he? I mean, it's the right thing to do.
I think it's sad. I think it's something that a lot of families have experience with. So although it's a shock, hopefully he'll get through it.
Well, I think with any family bust up, it's sad, so maybe it's good.
I think it's surprising, but I imagine the fact that they've already released the news means he's probably going to be okay. But overall, hope he's all right.
I mean, we loved his mum. I mean, I was born just after she came to the throne, so she was part of my life, my whole life. But that's so sad. I mean, you would think that of anybody, but I wish him well. I wish him well. It's very sad, very sad.
Well, I'm very sad to hear this, very sorry to hear, and I pray that he will recover, the treatment.